I've always loved cooking with artichokes, but I've always used canned artichokes in whatever dish I was preparing, whether it was fried artichokes or an artichoke pasta. So it might be because those artichokes that you find in the produce section at the grocery store are kind of intimidating and how to clean them. So I did a little research and decided to give it a shot. And I made some fresh artichokes over a sun-dried tomato pasta. And you see, start with the artichokes, you got to clean them. So I kind of shave the stem and start peeling back some of those leaves, which apparently you can eat those leaves on their own if you want to save them. I didn't for this dish, so I'm just kind of preparing the raw artichokes by peeling back those exterior leaves and then cutting off the tip. And so I did that for about 6 artichokes, and then diced up some fresh mint, which goes well with artichoke. So dice that mint up pretty fine. And then after that, we're going to start preparing some garlic to go with the mint. Also heavily salted that mint once it was kind of diced up. Of course, it smells great when you're dicing fresh mint or any fresh herbs, really. So we then start to prepare some garlic and dice that up, which will eventually get mixed in with the mint, which is going to be used to flavor those artichoke. So you want the garlic diced up pretty fine as well. And then we combine. And then we're about ready to start actually cooking the artichoke. So I kind of open up the middle. I didn't really necessarily hollow it out, but with a appropriately sized knife, kind of just open it up a little and shove some of those that mixture in, the mint, garlic, and salt. And then in a saucepan, heat some olive oil and place the artichokes face down. I kind of screwed up here. I think I left them down a little too long. I kind of just wanted them down to kind of activate those spices. And I probably should have, as you can see, I kind of might have overcooked the tips of those artichokes. But add a little white wine at this point, and then cover them. And let that kind of come up to a boil. Add a little bit of butter. Gonna adjust the artichoke. And then at this point, we'll cover again and let them cook. Again, not quite a boil. You can see it's just about at the boiling point. And then what I did was take a paper bag, kind of wet the paper bag and kind of cover everything with that, and then cover the pan again and turn down the heat and just let it sit for about 15-20 minutes like that. And while that's happening, we can start to prepare some other stuff, but you take a look at what it looks like. And so those artichokes are pretty much ready to go. So at this point I thought, do I dice up the artichoke and put it right over the pasta? But I thought, let's show the work and the fact that we use these nice, beautiful, big artichokes. And so I just would cut them in half, basically. And that's how they'll eventually be served. You can see how far down that some of the garlic and mint worked its way into those artichoke. And overall, they came out pretty good. So set them aside and get to work on the pasta. So dice an onion and some fresh parsley, and we're gonna dice that up as well. Get it as fine as you can. And then we have some fresh basil. And we'll cut a lemon in half because we're going to need the juice of that lemon. And then we get our saute pan, extra virgin olive oil, and a lot of butter. Start with one stick and then add another. And when that starts to melt down, we're going to add our onion. And we start to build the base for our sauce. You see a couple pieces of the parsley or basil got in there too, but then the juice of one of that lemon. Crushed red pepper. We just let that cook down. Don't want it to over too high heat because we don't want the butter to burn. And then we have some sun-dried tomatoes. You can use whatever brand or bottled or bagged, whatever you like. But we just kind of toss them in there and they'll start to soak up some of that buttery goodness. And I find that the sun-dried tomato, the kind of strong flavor of the sun-dried tomato complements artichokes well in the past when I've made dishes with canned artichokes. Fresh Parmesan cheese. Grate that into the mix. And don't be shy. And now let's prepare our linguine. So that's going to be boiling for about 8 to 10 minutes. And now, as another portion of this dish, we're going to just a little extra virgin olive oil, a little butter, a couple cloves of garlic. We're going to toast some breadcrumbs to kind of go over the top of everything, just to give it a little crunch. And this used to be a poor person's way of substituting Parmesan cheese by kind of toasting old breadcrumbs. And I gotta tell you, with a lot of pastas I make, I love to do this. It's pretty easy. And you can see after about 5 minutes it toasts down pretty good. So we'll remove the garlic and we'll reduce the heat, and you can pretty much set it aside after we add a little bit of Parmesan cheese to it as well as some black pepper, freshly ground. Nice thing about doing this too is you can save it and use it later in the day, later in the week for a different dish. And so now we add our pasta to the sauce. Add it just before it's quite done in the boiling water, because it will finish cooking in the sauce, and you'd like it to still be al dente. So toss it around, and now we add all those fresh herbs that we chopped. A ton of that parsley goes in. Along with the basil, and now we get ready to plate. So onto the dish it goes with a couple scoops of our pasta, and then I just laid the artichokes alongside and added a little bit of the liquid that they were cooking in over the top. Some more fresh grated Parmesan cheese over everything, because why not? and some of our toasted breadcrumbs. And again, with everything on that dish, it's pretty soft. So by just adding a little bit of a crunchy texture, I think goes a long way. And then some more just fresh basil over the top of everything. And there you have it. I gotta tell you, it was delicious. The artichokes were a little tough, especially near the top where I kind of burned them a little bit, but the pasta and the buttery sauce and the sun-dried tomatoes and everything was just so good. The only problem was, you really had to cut up the artichokes with a knife, add a little crushed red pepper at the end too, and you're ready to go. Drizzle a little extra virgin olive oil over everything, and like I said, the flavor was fantastic. If I had to do it again, I probably would have pre-diced up those or chopped up those artichokes and just put them over the top. It would have been a little easier to eat because you did need to use a knife. But you live and you learn. Next time I use fresh artichokes, I'll try to make them a little more tender if I can. But like I said, this is my first time ever cooking with fresh artichokes, and it is a higher quality, and it's a fresher, cleaner taste because they're not like in a brine in the can. And overall, I think anytime you can learn to cook with something fresh, better than something canned. In most cases, not always the case with corn. Corn's one of those things that's better in cans, and tomatoes sometimes are better canned too, depending on what application you want. But either way, like I said, it's fun to try new things. I hope you'll try cooking with artichoke, and I'm sure in one of my future recipes I will try it again and hopefully may have perfected it a little better. So hope you enjoyed, and bon appetit.